Morning, everyone. I'd like to call the Evaluation Subcommittee meeting for September 27th to order. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Hetzler?
Here.
Mr. Corey?
Here.
Mr. Martins?
Here.
Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Please join me in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And on today's agenda, we have one item for discussion, which is to finalize the superintendent's evaluation tool.
So, since the last meeting, as directed by the subcommittee, Deb and I worked on placing last year's school committee goals into the document, and also including the professional growth goal that we added. And we're prepared now with the committee's approval to move forward to the next school committee meeting, where this would be presented. The chair of the committee, Mr. Hetzler, would inform the committee that here is the tool. At that time, we would also talk process. It is likely that I would have my self-evaluation. I know which Joe is very interested in with the data piece. I would have all that sent out to the committee probably end of week of that week. And then we have a month to complete the process. And I would have the, what do they call it, the artifact binder in the Tom Coogan's office for school committee review. And if there was other materials requested, we'd put those together. And then you guys would have the month of November to complete that and get them all into Deb, who would then compile them with the chair of the committee, Mr. Hetzler, and then he would put this together, and we'd be prepared for a November final report out.
Sounds, to me, Superintendent, sounds pretty clean, efficient. It's a nice, efficient process. I'm really glad that goals have been added to the spec sheet. Again, I want to refer to our meeting in August on goals, and I thought it was an aggressive goals agenda. And I know that we have our work cut out for us in the upcoming term to try to meet those goals, but I'm really encouraged with the way things have been moving now, that some of those goals, most of those goals, will be met and exceeded. Very pleased with the goals and very pleased with some of the ideas that we've been talking about. The dual language track. A lot of people have been inquiring out in public, you know, and it's easy to brag about because it's such a good idea. So those are the kind of ideas in the goals. It's an example that we want to move forward, so we'll judge on that. With that, I yield.
I wasn't able to attend the last meeting of the evaluation subcommittee. However, I did get the material, and I believe what I'm holding in my hand is the school year 1920 school committee superintendent goals. Is this correct? Is this the last one?
No, this is the current one. We're looking at the goals from 1819.
1819?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting evaluated on now. So these are the next year's goals that we had at the
Well,
retreat.
that's what we're developing for.
Yeah,
Next year.
yeah. I'm bringing that forward too. We should be
But why are we discussing 18?
1819 school year.
Okay, but that's already gone by.
Then
This
that's
is 1920.
right. You're evaluating me on
I'm sorry?
You're evaluating me on last year. So remember the evaluation cycle is November to November?
Okay, so this 1920 is proposed at this point in time.
Yeah.
This is the, what is this one? I don't know if this is the same thing or not.
See the first second drop that.
It says the same date now, January 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just,
That's
that's
the
the
DESI
date.
date.
That's the DESI date. May we, can I make a point of clarification, Mr. Hassett?
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure we add at the top on the text box that we're talking 18, 19 school year, so it's real clear. And then we'll put the date of the school committee meeting on it as well.
Okay, this is, I have here superintendent committee and superintendent goals for year 18-19.
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Of which case, I did send an email to members that the superintendent goals should be distinct and measurable.
Right.
I hope you received that email.
I did.
I think you made reference to that at the last
We
meeting.
did, I mentioned it.
All right. As far as, finances, that's part of the job. I don't consider that the management of finances as being a goal. That's part of your job. As far as some of these other issues, that which is part of the job, and I guess everything is part of your job. But nevertheless, when I look at the school year 18-19, this particular document in here, it says the accountability measures, but English language, arts, math, and science achievement. That's in the assessment portion of the DESI data
Yep.
in there. And if you recall, when we were doing the 18-19 budget and the 19-20 budget, I made it a point to ask every principal, you've stated that you're going to do this as your goal. Whatever that is, but you're stating this that be your goal. Just about every one of the principals indicating we're going to achieve this, the assessment, we're going to increase by 10%, going from did not meet expectations to partially meet expectations to met expectations to exceeded expectations. Those are the 4 areas. Excuse me. But I don't see anything in here that indicates that, and every one of the principals indicate, oh, we're going to do that.
Right.
We're going to do that, and we're going to get 10%.
Mr. Martis, what we said is the DESE sets targets for us.
I understand
So
that.
that's what we're measuring against.
Well, however, you have the target is 75% of the targets, okay, in there. Okay. Well, that hasn't been achieved,
You don't know that yet, Mr. Martis.
at least the data.
What does it say? Moderate progress towards targets.
Yeah, and what is you didn't, the target was
It's up to you to
75%.
make that judgment, Mr. Martin. It's up to you to make that judgment once you get the whole self-evaluation. You gotta make that determination. And
Oh,
don't,
I agree.
right, so
I
you'll.
agree with that.
So you'll judge me
But
on
the only
those
thing
things.
is, that was from, well, you indicated here that you're going to achieve the performance, will meet DESI, well, in that case would be 18-19.
So if
targets.
that's an A, Mr. Martins, you gotta figure out, did I make a C or a B or, or a D? I mean, did we get closer?
Well, It would be nice to have a distinct amount. Yeah. I dislike when you say you're going to do something
Yep.
and you don't do it.
Well, it's not that we failure of trying.
Okay? Well, you know,
Yeah, but I
then
think there's a way to look
If you know
at
you're not
data.
going to do it,
Right.
why claim that as a goal?
So I didn't claim a goal, Mr. Martins. What I said was, we're gonna meet the DESE targets. They set those targets for us. It's supposed to be reasonable, and then we did our best to get to them. We met some of them, we reduced chronic absenteeism, we increased the number of high-level courses, so we did meet some of our goals. But, you know, the problem with data, and you know this, is always a gray area. It's never black and white in terms of, did you score 3 points or not? You know? You know that.
You're right, and I won't use the word old, even though I said it, old military man.
Yes.
Okay?
I'm old, Mr. Martins.
Okay, you're a military man. You say you're gonna do something.
Yeah.
You better do it,
Right, take the hill.
all right? Absolutely so.
Right.
You didn't, then your evaluation indicates that failed to achieve.
Right. So if you want to give me a bronze star rather than a silver, I'll take that.
You know, but what's difficult is, well, I'm going to try to achieve. Well, what's try? I mean, if you increase by 1%, have you achieved the goal?
Look,
Have you increased by 2 or 3%? What's the goal? Hang on, I haven't relinquished the time. Yeah, I have looked at the data and I've recorded, especially when you go through what's the student, not student achievement, but the other
Growth?
I'm sorry.
Growth?
No, student achievement is where you have this.
Yep.
That's student achievement. Accountability is the other one.
Yep.
That's what the word I'm looking for. Accountability in there. And that accountability is very difficult to determine as to whether or not it's been achieved or hasn't been achieved. In there.
You'll have a better sense once I do the self-evaluation and give you all that information. I think you'll have a much more.
Well, I did
clearer
ask
picture.
you, because I want, at the meeting that we go through the MCAS report,
Yep.
that the assessment data be also included.
It's all going to be included. We're going to have a huge presentation for you.
All right, and that is projected, because we haven't achieved, okay, to what I had expected to achieve, but yet, I guess during the course of this year, one principal was moved to another position. And, there doesn't seem to be consequences for not meeting your goals. If you make the goals way up high, but you don't meet them, then what's the purpose of having that goal up here? I would much rather see a goal here at a lower rate and met or exceeded that goal than to say, well, this goal is set up high because we're going to try to achieve it. But if we don't achieve it, that's okay. Yeah,
That's why they use the term progress towards your goal. Because if you're making progress, you're moving the needle. Right?
By how much?
You'll see when I do the report, Mr. Martins. We have a nice report for you. You'll get all the data. You're going to be able to make your own analysis. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to love it.
It will be.
Mr. Martins is going to love
what
the
I
report.
consider to be, at least on my part, to be fair and just.
Yes.
Because everything you do with families, everything you do with professional development, everything you do has one purpose, and that is to improve the students' grades levels on the assessment, meaning did not meet expectations, partially met expectations, met expectations or exceeded expectations.
And then, so the state gives you the goals that we set, and then they have their own standards that include things like managing conflict, creating a fiscal management system, all those pieces that you talked about are part of the job. They've articulated that as well. So you get to evaluate me on all the goals, all the data, and then all the other indicators that they articulate.
And everything that you just stated there is intended to bring the student assessment up,
Yep.
okay? But it hasn't indicated that, okay, this is what we're going to achieve for that student assessment.
Well, it will when you see what the targets are from the state. The state says you have to do this, and you'll be able to see, did we do it or not?
Well, I hope it says that we're going to move from did not meet standards by X% into partially met standards. And from partially met standards to the next category of met standards.
Right.
Or expectations rather, and then exceeded expectations. Now, I would expect that the percentage that, the goal would be, okay, I'm gonna move from each one of them. But for the lower categories, that the goal is to move a fairly high percentage of those.
Yep.
Whereas the exceeding, well, they've already exceeded, we just need to keep it that way.
And you gotta make that judgment. That's
I'm
your
sorry.
job as a school committee member, is to make that judgment. Fair
Okay,
and
I
balanced.
understand that, but it would be a heck of a lot easier if I knew what the goal was and not something that is not definitive in that, well, he tried, or she tried, or the school system tried. I'm not too keen on this try bit.
Yeah, we don't use the term try in any of these, but
No, but
we
I-
did set targets, and we do our best to meet them. Some we meet, some we don't. But the good news is, I think in every single indicator, we're showing progress. And that's a good thing. Now, here's a piece of information that no one talks about. The new accountability system is based on really moving the needle for the lowest 25% of kids. In Fall River, the lowest achieving 25% of the students are mostly second language learners. In 3 years, we've tripled the number of second language learners that we have in the system, and yet the system has not gone down. So that shows that we're doing better even with tougher to account for students, which is now the majority of students in the Fall River Public Schools. So you may say, oh, you've been flat, but flat is growth. Because if the kind of students that continue to possess seats, if those students historically have been low test takers, which second language students are, and our data hasn't dropped, we're actually doing better. But that's a real complicated analysis of data. We're going to explain all that when we do our data report.
Well, then if I look at English language learners, because that's a category in and of itself.
Yep.
Then what you're telling me is I should see an improvement in that category.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, in some areas they've improved, and in others they've made flat or made no progress. In some areas, our second language learners have even declined. But the point is, if the percentage of the lowest 25% of students is now mostly second language learners, and that population has tripled, we're doing pretty good with the kids that we have of moving the needle forward. So we're showing growth, we're showing achievement. It's just not at the level we want to see yet. That's what we're working on. School committee gave me the tools this past year to really drill down on this. I think this year's data is going to show even more growth.
I'm not going to debate the issue, especially not at this forum, but I will when that presentation is made.
And we're ready for that, and we're looking forward to it. And then you're going to owe Julia Carlson some sort of bacalhau, because I don't think she deserves a lobster, but we talked about this.
I sent you an email with regards to the
Yeah.
lobster versus the bacalhau. I love, that's codfish.
It's good.
Oh, absolutely.
But I like it
so.
depressed with the
And
potatoes
I know
and
a good
onions.
restaurant for it.
All right,
Right?
I'm getting hungry.
Okay, I yield.
Mr. Gordon.
So yeah, Mr. Martins, I just want to say alongside of the goals, I get what you're saying. We want to see the numbers be accountable, absolutely. One thing I've noticed in the many school visits that I've partaken over the past several months, not too long ago I was at the Laterno School, a school that's heavy with ELL students, and walked into a number of classrooms. And I was really impressed with the level of morale with the teaching corps. I was impressed with the level of engagement with the students. They were all engaged. They were working real hard. And we're talking about our multicultural language students. So now we're looking at growing this whole demographic in our school department, because those numbers have swelled rather rapidly over a short amount of time. And now there's active development in the dual language track program, which is going to allow kids to hang on to their native languages as they learn English and deal with the state standards. I'm very impressed with making that accommodation for the students, because I see it as them become more oriented into the schools and to show further growth for the numbers and further development for their education. So this is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about quantifying numbers. I'm talking about seeing growth and development in the classrooms that are going to lend to the numbers down the road. With that, I yield, but I wanted to make that point.
Just to counterpoint, I guess, what was the goal for those kids? Okay, did we achieve that goal? Right?
Right.
You can answer.
I hear what you're saying.
In there. All right. Well, we're making progress. I can make progress mean just about anything that you want it to mean in there. I like to have concrete, measurable goals in there. But that tells me, as I look through all of this over the past several days in there, that tells me that, hey, look, we still have 6 schools that are below 10% percentile, say percentile, all right, in there. When you mentioned Henry Lord did pretty well, okay, in there. But, all right, they did pretty well, but they could use some improvement. Now, what do you need more for those kids in those classrooms to be able to achieve? Look at the math, the English language arts, the science. Look at the meeting the expectations of that, and see. There hasn't been all that improved. That includes the English language learners. It's all students
Sure.
In there. And it's all right. What do you need more in the classroom? Right? Now, do you need more professional development? Wait a minute. There's all kinds of money that's been spent on professional development. I know you're an advocate for social and emotional learning, and I agree with that. Okay. However, how much more did that create to improve the student accomplishments in there? Or would it be better to utilize the funds that we have to have additional help in the classroom? You attended classrooms? Fine. You know, I haven't gone to very many classrooms. Now, is that a fault? Well, I don't consider it a fault. I look at the data. Tell me what the data is. That data doesn't lie. It is what it is. Right? Now, how are you going to deal with that? Where are you going to put your resources? In there. And in my opinion, and you can take it for whatever that you feel it's worth, you need to have additional help in the classroom. Now, if that help was there, would you have seen an increase in these students' learning in there? Okay. I yield and time for your report. Rebuttal.
Yeah, Mr. Martin, in response to that, I'm right with you when you talk about additional help. And you're the strongest advocate for more paraprofessionals in our school department, and I've joined with you in that mantra. I also agree we could use really well-trained paraprofessionals in the classroom. I think we're working our way there. I think we've increased the paraprofessional corps in the last couple of years because it was heavily depleted over a couple of administrations ago. And so now we're starting to re-resource that particular category of worker. And I know a couple of people who got hired over the summer that are really very well qualified, who got hired as paras and are excited to be working in the classrooms. But I also did a visit to Henry Lord, Mr. Martin's, 2 weeks ago, and was extremely impressed with what I saw as far as 2 teachers in the classroom working in an inclusionary setting, and seeing the level of engagement and the curriculum that was going on in the classroom was very impressive. And so when we talk about goals and trying to meet them, I don't know how high we can set the bar, because the demographics in Fall River are what they are. It's a tough demographic, and we're grappling with that. And we do have problems, and nothing is perfect. But I really, really feel we're making an impact down the road. With that,
When you
I-
mentioned about the demographic, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the purpose of this meeting is to just finalize the evaluation tool. So I think we're taking this a little bit too far at this
Sure.
point. So I want to reel it back in, and I'd like to give my thoughts on the evaluation tool, if I may. I think the tool is ready to be submitted to the full committee for their approval at the next meeting. That's what we plan on doing right now. So hopefully there's a motion for that in a moment, to send this to full committee. It's the tool that was made by DESI. So we use this tool. It has the typical stuff we're gonna evaluate a superintendent on, and then we've added our goals from 18-19, and they've been articulated well. I feel confident that this tool will help us evaluate the superintendent, and we'll all make our own judgment on how we feel his performance was. So that's my piece on everything.
That's cut and dry.
And do you want to,
Make a motion?
please?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
No, not that one. First one.
Make a motion to
Send this to full committee.
make a motion to send this tool, this evaluation tool, to the full school committee at our next meeting for approval.
Second on that?
You second.
Second. I second it. All those in favor? Right, is this how we do this?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
Is he opposed?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further discussion? I know normally you don't have discussion after, but any final comments, any new business?
For me.
Cool.
Any motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, meeting is adjourned, thank you very much.